So I think I was averaging at the time of our interview only like 70 to 100 viewers at that time. And right now I'm, live with this uncapped subathon, and we have well over 1,000 viewers, which is just insane to have that happen over 2 years. So
yeah, that's way over 10x.
as soon as I got in a good flow on YouTube, that's what really started elevating everything to the next level and get it to the point where it's like, okay, wow, I would post maybe once every 3 months. I would edit the video myself. It'd get like a couple hundred views, and I'd be like, well, that was a waste of time, so then I wouldn't do it for 3 more months. At one point, I was just like, okay, hey, I like really need to put time into YouTube because I've seen a lot of success there, and I've seen that like I'm not naturally growing on Twitch, just Twitch, past like 100 viewers. Like I cap out, I can't grow anymore. Well, for one, like there's very few people that work harder than I do. I don't mean to be like braggy in that, but I do put in 80, 100 hours a week because that's what I want to do. And I want to make this be my like platform and a solid place for like a foundation in the community. Not really like scaling back on the content, but being smarter about it. So putting a little bit less time instead of like 80, 100 hours a week, maybe 60 hours a week. And then I can kind of scale back a little bit and then grow as a person to kind of pursue some interests outside of streaming. I mean, no one's a good content creator when they start streaming. When you hit go live for the first time, you're probably not a good creator. That's just, you need to learn. It's a skill you need to hone in, and it's a skill you need to like go over and get better at.
Welcome to the Becoming a Creator podcast. Keeoh, it is great to have you back on the show. For those of you that are new here, because we've got a few folks listening in Keeoh's side, my name is Snoopy, and we are looking to kind of learn more about Keeoh's journey. We had you on November 2020. And for those in your community that have been there for the last like few years, they've obviously seen how much has happened for you and continues to happen for you. So for me, it's a real honor just to kind of reflect back on your journey from where you were in 2020 to where you are now, how much was going on then and to how much even more is going on right now.
I mean,
it's wild.
It's pretty wild. I mean, when we actually first got on the first interview, it was like right as like Valorant was kind of starting to help ignite my career. And so I think I was averaging at the time of our interview only like 70 to 100 viewers at that time. And right now I'm, live with this uncapped subathon, and we have well over 1,000 viewers, which is just insane to have that happen over 2 years. So
yeah, that's way over 10x in less than 2 years, not even 2 years. Viewership's like one metric to look at on CCV, but like you're creating content on so many different platforms. Your like output has just increased dramatically. Yeah.
I mean, hey, if you're not like making things happen everywhere, you gotta capitalize on all the resources you have in front of you,
So what is the 24-hour live stream? You're in the middle of it. I don't want to bore your audience. They already know what's going on, but just for those that are going to listen to this after the fact, what are you in the middle of right now?
Yeah, so first off, I moved out. I bought a house like a year ago, and I just moved into it because in secret for the last year, I have been constructing this giant trampoline streaming studio behind me. To celebrate the launch of that, I decided to go live with an uncapped subathon, and I've been live for already 6 days. And I also moved in with 2 of my roommates, which are Grim, who is one of the biggest Valorant content creators, and then Shiro, who is an up-and-coming Valorant content creator and one of my best friends, and I've known him for like 5 years. So it's been super fun the last week just having everyone here and like actually doing this because we've been planning it for so long. But yeah, that's what we're doing now, and happy to be here, happy to be back.
You're live for 6 days. What is the stream's running? You're sleeping. Is someone jumping in? How are you running the subathon?
Yeah, I was originally planning to have other people fill in while I'm sleeping, but I just like really failed to realize how much needed to be done in the time off. Like, because I took 5 days off to like build up hype for this whole event, and then just dropped everything on everyone. And during those 5 days, I thought, oh, I'm going to have time to like schedule people and try to figure it out. I slept for like 3 or 4 hours a night, every night for 5 days, and just like was doing everything possible. So I had like the most insane week, and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have time to like rock climb, go to the beach, hang out, move in. It'll be chill. It'll be no, it was not chill. I did not take any time off, and then went from straight into the subathon. So it was an insane process.
You're definitely going to have a bit of come down after this. I think what's really cool about this podcast and where we are now is we get a chance to reflect. You're very much in the thick of it, right? There's so much epic shit happening right now. But what I think is really important is just to reflect on what has happened over the last year and a half, 2 years. Before, when we talked to you in November 2020, you were like, you know what? I'm just going to try this streaming thing. I don't have really any expectations. I'm having fun while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You were getting some opportunities, like saying with Cloud9, you were hungry, but you didn't have like a lot of expectations. You were
Yeah.
kind of going with the flow.
Yeah, totally. I mean, at that point, I wouldn't really consider myself as like made it, even though I'd been signed to Cloud9 for like 2 years at that point, just because I wasn't really like happy with how far I've come. And pretty much after that podcast, I had really started uploading on YouTube and like really pursuing that outlet, as that's something I kind of lacked for pretty much my entire streaming career before the last 2 years. As soon as I got in a good flow on YouTube, that's what really started elevating everything to the next level and get it to the point where it's like, okay, wow. At that point, it was like a minimum wage job. I wouldn't really call it a hobby. It wasn't just a time sink and a money sink. I was making some money. I was working, 60, 80-hour weeks and making barely minimum wage with what I was doing. But that's the risk you take for trying to pursue something that, one, you love, and two, has such an exponential return down the line. So
Do you think like your relationship with this changed? Like, actually, I think you're still having a shit ton of fun, which is cool and awesome. But do you feel like there's like before it was a lot of fun and there was a lot less expectation? Are your expectations of yourself and your content like way higher now than they were back then?
I rarely take breaks, to be completely honest. Like the 5 days off and quote unquote the days off, because I was just absolutely slammed that entire week. I haven't taken more than that time off, like off of streaming, in 3 years. I haven't taken more than 3 days off of streaming in 3 years, barring that last 5 days I took off. So I don't know. I haven't really given myself time to think of like, oh, hey, what does all this mean and stuff? I kind of just like head down, grind it out, keep doing the next thing and just move on to the next thing constantly and just hope for the best, I don't know. I'm enjoying it. So I haven't really given it too much thought.
One of the things that stood out to me when we were chatting before is sure, you're going live a lot, you're creating a ton of content, but you always try to maintain some sense of balance. And there's not a lot of balance when you've only taken 3 days off in 3 years. But what I mean is like, you're still going to the beach, you're still rock climbing, you're getting outside. Has that been consistent over the last year? Are you still doing those things?
Yeah, I definitely slowed down a little bit with COVID just because my rock climbing gym closed for like 9 months. So that was rough. So during that period, I definitely was like lacking because I just wasn't able to, go there. But after that, yeah, me and one of my buddies, Aiden, we just started ripping the rock climbing gym. Like we started going harder than we were before, actually. So even though I'm live normally like 8 hours a day right now, I still try to get outside at least 4 or 5 times a week and do something. You go rock climbing, go to the beach, go try to figure out something to do. Balance is definitely, that's kind of my next step right now. That's something that I feel like I have been lacking in general. After this whole subathon thing, and I'm like officially, I already am officially moved in, but once I'm like fully settled here, subathon ends, I think I'm going to kind of shift my streaming to being like, instead of live for 6 to 8 hours a day, 4 to 6 hours a day, kind of cut back on the streaming a little bit and really focus on, okay, where is my time going and where can I put it more to balance me as an individual versus me as the content creator?
Yeah, it's always a struggle, but I feel like you only get that luxury a little more once you put the grind in. You put in the work to like build the audience, else you don't get to that point.
And now I can take the time off to like, not necessarily take my foot off the gas at all. I still want to be pumping out tons of good content, but it's like, okay, let's take more time and invest this time wiser than just like, I'm going to go live 8 hours a day.
One of the things that I've seen when talking to some guys that have like, they've gotten to like 10,000 CCV or a million followers, and then they think about the company or the business rather than the individual. And there's different like levels. Have you found yourself thinking about like, there's like a lot of different parts of Keeoh? It's not just me in the computer. There's like a lot of different, there's finances, there's like people I'm responsible for now. Like, is it a full-on company at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I have an LLC. I have a full-time editor. I have a team that's managing TikTok that we're just starting up now. I have a personal assistant pretty much that takes care of everything. So like I have a lot of different parts, but they're all like super supportive and consistently enable me to like want to be able to put out that more content. And it's never felt like, oh, wow, this is a huge burden. I have so much pressure on me. Like Keeoh as the content creator and Keeoh the individual, they both want the same thing. So
yeah. You mentioned this thing when you tweeted at me, or like talking about coming back on the pod, and you tweeted, what really helps people get to that next level, like when they're going from like 500 CCV and like up, and you just replied like 2 words. It was scale and delegate. What has happened for you on that front in the last year and a half, 2 years that was different from you prior to that?
Prior to our podcast that we went on, I wasn't really posting on YouTube at all. I would post maybe once every 3 months. I would edit the video myself. It'd get like a couple hundred views and I'd be like, well, that was a waste of time. So then I wouldn't do it for 3 more months. At one point I was just like, okay, hey, I like really need to put time into YouTube because I've seen a lot of success there. And I've seen that like I'm not naturally growing on Twitch, just Twitch, past like 100 viewers. Like I cap out, I can't grow anymore. So that's when I hired the editor that is currently living in my house, at least for this month, just so we can get daily uploads out during the subathon. But I hired him on, and just to be like, okay, hey, let's make one video a week and just pump out a video just to get it out there and dip our toes in the water. And after like 2-3 months of that, we finally kind of hit a stride of it. And I was like, wow, this video got like, 100,000 views or something. And we kind of just started rolling with it and figured it out along the way. In terms of the scaling and delegating, you kind of have to already be an established creator, because I think you have to know what you're doing pretty well enough in order to delegate. Like you need to know what you want in order to tell somebody to go do it, versus being like, I want somebody to run my TikTok. Well, if you want somebody to run your TikTok, you need to know what you want for them to post, because if they just like throw up your clips, like, yeah, a couple of them might get a couple hundred views or something, but like that's not going to get very much more if it doesn't have like the pulse of you as a creator on top of that. So your content as a content creator comes down to like the maximum amount of content you can put out is you recording it. So ideally, in a perfectly working content creator ecosystem, the individual that is the product should be like recording 90% of the time, and 10% should only be spent like producing and helping other people out. You should have delegated everything else to everyone else, because like that's the best way to scale, because otherwise you're going to fail to scale. Almost every creator fails to scale properly, because you hit a cap of like, oh, I'm 50% streaming and making content and 50% I'm producing it. It's like you should be bumping that out and delegating the other 40%, if that makes sense.
Totally does. It's really painful though. From what I've witnessed, like that process of delegation can be sometimes challenging, because you want to push really hard, but that you got to let that person kind of level up and learn you and what you like over time. Yeah. How have you found your own growth in that? Like, because you never really got into this to do that, but now it's like a part of what you have to do is invest in other people and try and like teach them skills or things that you've developed over the years.
This is something I do even just for fun with my friends and stuff, where I'll just be like, hey dude, you need some help with YouTube, let's like sit down, let's get in a call, and like I'm gonna give you some pointers or whatever. Because like I think you're a great streamer, but your YouTube content sucks. Like, we need to figure it out. I'll just tell them that straight up. But one of my friends went from just in the last like 4 months, 5,000 subs on YouTube to like 180,000 subscribers. Like, he's going to catch up to me, which is insane. And he's taking the scaling and delegating to an entirely new level. He has like 15 editors, and it's just ridiculous. Like, I have no idea how he keeps track of everything. He took it to heart and just ran with it, which has been super fun.
Do you have someone else now that's like helping you with that side, or are you still having to manage people as well as do the creation?
So my editor definitely helps me. He's kind of an editor, but also producer, if that makes sense. He's not just like editing the content. Originally, when we were doing that one video a week thing, we pretty much worked side by side. I would sit like in the call and help him edit, and like not help him. He's really good at what he does, but it's helping him like get the vision that I have out. Over that course of 6 months, he learned what I wanted out of the video and how I would explain things. And like, we basically have a very good understanding of like what we want our content to be. And so now he can take that information and he's going to get it right 99% of the time of just like making a judgment call on his own. And he can take that and teach it to other people that we can then hire up, which then allows us to scale further. So it's basically just like creating mini versions of me that can delegate things that I would have made the same decision as, if that makes sense. I don't quite get it. I think I just have a good like entrepreneurship brain for that, but I have no training for that.
Well, switching gears a little bit on the YouTube side, because obviously it's been a huge catalyst for your growth. You mentioned before, the transition from Overwatch to Fortnite, like you had to start over with your viewers basically. And more recently, like you made the switch to Valorant, and it has just been, or not recently, it's been a while now, but you've just seen such a massive catalyst in growth and viewership, especially on YouTube. What do you think the cause of that is? Like, why you? You're not the only person making content around Valorant. There's so many. Why are you seeing such explosive growth?
Well, for one, like there's very few people that work harder than I do. I don't mean to be like braggy in that, but I do put in 80, 100 hours a week because that's what I want to do. And I want to make this be my like platform and a solid place for like a foundation in the community. Not only like the time that I invest into it, I do it in the smartest way possible, where I'm going to be streaming the right amount of hours, like a lot of hours to be live and capitalize on that platform, but then also have uploads every other day so that I can be consistently putting stuff out on YouTube. And most people, realistically, you're starting out as a streamer, you don't have access to that resource of like, oh, I can put 8 hours into a stream and upload every other day. and still function as a human being. So having that previous background of, 3 years of streaming experience and then going through that 6-month kind of like trial and error period on YouTube allowed me to just have enough resources now to then be able to have that kind of leg up while I continue to work harder. I have more resources that I've built up over the years to like take advantage of to
I think
catapult me
it's a
forward.
really important thing to highlight is a lot of people will listen to this podcast or watching it, whatever they're doing, and they will go, oh, Keo's doing that, I should do that too. And it's like, no, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
And that can be really frustrating for someone to hear because they want to just jump to like, oh, I should just start, hiring like your buddy 15 editors and like doing that. But it's just not realistic at the beginning. And how have you taught yourself? Because I'm sure you're looking at folks that are further ahead than you now, and you're like, oh, I want to do what they're doing, or I want to try these things out. How are you finding yourself being patient with your own ideas and creativity and journey and not trying to jump to like someone who's got 10 million followers or like whatever? Like, how do you balance that?
I mean, you kind of just have to go your own path. I really like the way that I'm building my community because it is like, it's not crazy viral growth, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like scaling long term, right now I'm kind of actually in a stage where I'm looking for almost like a mentor at this point, like someone who's kind of taken these steps before me, because I'm not really too sure what my future is. I'm just going to keep kind of doing what I'm doing right now because I enjoy it. I'm healthy. I think the next step for me is like really personal growth and then continuing to do this as well. Not really like scaling back on the content, but being smarter about it. So putting a little bit less time instead of like 80, 100 hours a week, maybe 60 hours a week. And then I can kind of scale back a little bit and then grow as a person to kind of pursue some interests outside of streaming.
Yeah, everyone goes through that evolution as a creator, like, especially when you want like family, kids, girlfriend, like all that stuff. There's more to our kind of life than purely the content side that we can often kind of ignore. And then even on the business side too.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's easy to get sucked in and just be like, oh, I want to just stream, but also I don't want to get to like a later stage in life and still have not found like that life partner that I want. So it's like, it's kind of time to start, reorganizing my life a little bit, but I'm excited for that later. So
no, that's really exciting. Talking about just the YouTube videos, you record a lot of your content on stream. Is that right? And then it gets pushed over to YouTube?
Almost 100% of it, like very, very close to 100%.
Why the hell do your 2-hour videos work on YouTube?
Yeah, those are amazing. I don't know. YouTube loves long videos if it's good content. So what I do is I do these things called speed runs in Valorant where I take a brand new account and get it ready to be placed in unranked. And then I go from unranked to immortal, which is the second highest rank in the game, while only playing one agent. I only play those agents on my main account. So that like unlocks the ability for me to play that agent on my main account. It's just like a more fun way for me to play the game on a like grand scale, if that makes sense. Cause then I can consistently be learning how to play a new agent and then also be unlocking like my main content, if that makes sense. And those 2-hour, 3-hour videos on YouTube are the entire speedrun series, like a 10 episode YouTube video, one episode at a time. We just combine them all into one 2-hour video. YouTube just loves them. It's great. I don't know. I can't explain it.
It's just baffling to me. I need to like spend more time just digging into it, how those are working. Cause I mean, must be crushing it because of that.
The actual origin of that is I watch a lot of RuneScape YouTubers, like old school RuneScape. Big fan of that community. Don't have time to play that game, so I live vicariously through watching videos. One of the creators, I think it was Kevin Framed, he posted like a full, like longer than what my videos were. It was like a 14-hour video. And I realized I, like over the course of 2 months, watched the entire 14-hour video because I hadn't seen any of that series before. And then I just decided, well, I mean, I'm just going to try to do that with one of my series. And it freaking like that's like our 5 most watched videos are 2-hour videos, which is ridiculous. So
it is absolutely ridiculous. One of the questions we asked you last time was, what's something you've learned now that you wish you told yourself back then? And your answer to that question before was you wanted to diversify your time and your assets. That's what you mentioned. And looking back in 2020, if you were to do it now, what's something you've learned now that you wish you told yourself back in the beginning or back in 2020?
Both of those times, I wish I could just slap myself across the face and be like, start posting on YouTube, you moron. So that's pretty much the main thing. Cause I mean, no one's a good content creator when they start streaming. When you hit go live for the first time, you're probably not a good creator. That's just, you need to learn. It's a skill you need to hone in. It's a skill you need to like go over and get better at. After you do get better at streaming and like interacting with people and making good content, it's important to like start putting that out on other platforms. It depends on what your ambitions are. You could do this all without even streaming, but I love the live streaming aspect and interacting with people. I feel like that gives me more energy to create better content. Like I've tried to record things off stream and I just don't sound nearly as energetic because I'm not there interacting with people. Not just started YouTube, but really pursued it and like, doing, semi-weekly uploads or something while I was playing Fortnite, because I had a lot of clips and stuff back then that hit like 10 million views across platforms and stuff, which was, I had multiple of those things happen with backflip rocket rides and stuff, whatever. And that just like kind of didn't really translate to Twitch growth, even though it was like crazy viral things. So had I been on YouTube there, those like my videos could have been those videos that are getting juiced up to, a couple million views. So I'm happy with the path I took, though. I'm not like regretful of that. But if anyone's listening out there, start YouTube. If you're an established creator already and you're like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm getting at 30, 40 viewers, boom, slap up some YouTube, start getting content going, get an editor. Don't do it yourself. Scale and delegate.
Have you taken your own advice, do you think, in terms of diversifying your time? It sounds like you have, but would you say you have?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I have. I mean, like, I think what I meant back then is of diversifying my time is like being able to pursue YouTube by hiring an editor and like being able to, so I'm not the person doing it, because I can't record an 8-10 hour stream and then get off stream and be like, man, I really want to edit right now. That sounds awesome. Like, no, I want to go lay down and take a nap. Like that is after that long of a session. So delegating that away and diversifying my time has definitely been successful, I think.
Like you're not going to slow down at all. I can see you're just so fucking jazzed and excited and like you want to do more. You're going to do it in a different way, which I think is cool. We're like, what, 3/4 of the way through 2022. You just had like, I would say probably one of the biggest announcements that you've had in your career to date, which is like a house that you bought. How does it feel to like, I bought a house, and it's not just like, you bought it in California, which is a hard place to buy a house. Yeah. Bought a house in Cali and you had your buddies move in and you're pumping out more content. Like, how does that feel? You made that happen. It wasn't given to you. With your own sweat and hard work, you made that happen.
Yeah, it's weird. That's actually one thing I haven't really processed yet still. I mean, since I literally bought the house a year ago, I've kind of just been like chilling on it and just keeping it all secret. And then now that I'm actually moved in, and I just moved in and then instantly started an uncapped subathon, I haven't really processed the fact that I've like moved out. I've just been like on the grind constantly. So I think it'll be something that hits me like a month from now. I'll be like, wow, I'm really like doing life now. Like,
am I crazy, or did you, because you were at college and then did you move back to your parents, or am I wrong?
I did. I went to college for 1 year and then I came back and moved in with my parents for another 2 years, 3 years. Yeah.
So like, what a shift. Like you're like a full-on adult with like responsibility and like,
yeah, with like a mortgage
bills,
and like
yeah,
bills. Still don't know how a lot of that works, so I'll figure it out. I'm sure either the lights will turn off or like something will happen, and then I'll be like, forgot to pay the internet bill. My bad.
Yeah. So. What about the setup behind you? How does it feel to just be like leveling up your content game? Backflips have been such a big part of your content for the longest time, but like this is like you taking it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole goal, really, with the whole trampoline streaming studio. Like, who is gonna put a trampoline in their house? I literally had this idea 3 years ago, and pretty much I've spent everything, like all my money and time, is just figuring out how do I make this happen and how do I do it, because I want to do it well and I want to push the boundaries of streaming farther than people think that there is. Because what else are you gonna do? Like, if you're just gonna play games and stuff, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just want to cement my mark on the community of Twitch. I don't know what it is, but that's what I want to do.
I think one of the things I've witnessed from the last time we chatted is just your confidence. It shows so much, like how much you've evolved as a person, as a content creator. Like truly it does. And I'm sure you've got your diehards that have been like with you since day one that have seen the evolution of you. Like, shout out to them. It is just so clear how much growth you've had in like the last year and a half to now. And I am so fucking excited because I just feel like it's the beginning still of like where you're going to go next and kind of where you're going from here, especially as you kind of see these new levels that you want to reach and like how you want to develop systems around yourself.
This is phase one. phase one is on the way, or pretty much complete now that we're in the house. I do have a lot of long-term goals, but I don't know how much I want to explain on those, at least live on stream. But we can talk in private more about them. I'm sure I'd appreciate input on where we're going in the future for sure.
Yeah, I know. I'd love that. It's so fucking awesome to have you back on the pod. I know you're in the middle of your subathon. I appreciate you jumping in here and doing this with us. I am going to continue to eagerly watch your journey, and we'll have that private convo. And I hope we run this back in a year and a half's time. We can look
Yeah,
back
see
at all
where we're
this.
at then, dude. I'd love to do this. Just periodically come in and just see where everything's going. This has been super fun. So thanks again for having me on. Yeah.
As you know, this podcast is brought to you by Pipeline. I wanted you to meet a few members of the Pipeline community.
My name's Chadwick. I've been streaming for a little over 2 years, been a member of Pipeline for that long as well. I joined Pipeline before I even ever started streaming, and I really do believe in it. I don't think I'd be anywhere close to where I am if I was even streaming at all, if not for everything I've learned here.
Hey, I'm NickNax94, a Facebook gaming partner and a Pipeline member for 8 months. Joining Pipeline gave me the chance to invest in my dream, to learn and build confidence, and really to become a better content creator, but also to meet like-minded creators through the Discord community.
Hey guys, I'm a Moment with Alex, Pipeline member for just about 2 years. One of my favorite moments as a Pipeline community member is getting to listen to the mountains of knowledge that Stone and Snoopy have in group mentorship sessions, and being able to talk about it further with other community members live during those sessions.
You heard it from our members first. If that resonates with you, I encourage you to sign up for a free trial with the link below. You can cancel at any time. This offer is a podcast exclusive. Consider this your invitation to level up as a creator. Be sure to like, comment, and rate the show. We love to hear from you. Happy streaming, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I wanted to just end this with a little bit of context on why we do what we do. We're former content creators ourselves, and we just really want to help as many content creators as we can. That's why we started Pipeline.gg. It's a platform where you can find other like-minded creators and learn from the pros who've already been there. Get step-by-step guidance so you can avoid all the mistakes that we made in the beginning. If you love the episode, there's going to be even more inside of Pipeline. So check it out. Head over to pipeline.gg.